Hello and welcome to the Fogs Queenslander podcast as we review Origin 3. I'm Mark Braybrook, joined by Wally Lewis, Trevor Gilmester and Matt Gillett. Another series comes to an end and, gentlemen, a little bit flat today north of the border, isn't it?
How do you do? How you going?
How are you going, Wal? You okay?
Yeah. Very busy man. He's a very busy man. Yesterday he was everywhere.
Yeah, not amused by a loss. I don't take him any easier as a footy fan than a player. But we got out-muscled, outplayed and out-thought. That was a good performance from New South Wales, and the back three in their scrum, they were fantastic. They were wonderful. They dictated terms. They got territory for them. The physical confrontations that took place seemed to finish in their favour most of the time, and it was a pretty handy effort.
It was a great defensive effort by both teams, I reckon.
Yeah.
Obviously, we just had those couple of lapses, and they made the most of them. But it was a credit to both. Not everyone says it, both teams played well, but and Wal's right. It was just a couple of lapses by our blokes, and I know you can't go backwards. Game 2, much improved effort, from that. They played like in the old story, played like that in that game, different story. But I was talking to a few mates about it this morning, and they're talking about obviously no Tino, no Flegler, no Tom Gilbert, no Munster, a big effort, and I thought about it, and I went to their best player, Nathan Cleary wasn't there as well, so. And Mitchell Moses sealed the game, didn't he, really? And that last took our forwards on through the middle, a couple of missed tackles, and he put the game to bed, didn't he, with that solo try. So
yeah, absolutely. Gillo, your thoughts?
Yeah, lucky enough to go watch this one live again and be there. And like Gilly just said, the defensive performance from both sides was, something I haven't seen before. And, we camped down our end for most of that first half, and we're very lucky to be in at 2-0 at half-time, I thought. They had plenty of opportunities to score tries, but the Queensland away, we just kept showing up and turning them around. But I just looked at the stats before. I think the biggest thing there was that stood out to me was the offloads. That I think that they had 18 offloads to our 8. So that second phase play and that first try come off an offload, even though it hit the ground. And that little moment, you sort of, as a player, that when the ball's that tackle's almost completed and the ball comes out, what's happened?
Hesitate.
Next minute, and they made that line break. And just the offloads, the second phase, it takes it out of you, and the 6 to go. So definitely a solid performance from both teams, and, they iced their opportunities.
A bit like Game 2 in some respects, that Queensland couldn't get out of their own end, and the possession once again favoured New South Wales. A lot of repeat sets. Wally, you spoke about it ad nauseum throughout our previews about the kicking game, and once again New South Wales were able to turn Queensland around and make it really hard for Queensland to put any pressure down the other end of the park.
Yeah, I thought it was exceptional. I always regarded Mitchell Moses as a guy that was a borderline, great club player, and I just had some question about his ability at Origin level, but didn't he step up to the plate last night? That was a wonderful performance. Yeah, he was unbelievable. He was extremely good, and it was the placement of his kicks which was impressive. We can kick the ball 1,000 times just to make territory, but also the area that we kick it to has got to be the primary goal. And that was fantastic for them. So often you could just see that we got the ball deep inside our own territory, and whoever it was that was collecting the ball looked up and there was just a wall of blue jerseys. So it was given good support, and that old saying, a kick is only as good as its chasers. And they certainly did that with monotonous regularity last night to make it almost impossible for Queensland to make good territory on a return to kick play.
I don't know how many repeat sets, but we had a lot more against us than they did.
Yeah, and that takes it out of you too. We spoke about it after Game 2, the petrol in the tank, but we also in the preview to Game 1 spoke about the players missing. You reiterated again there, Gilly, and Wally, you mentioned how you thought Queensland was out-muscled, and I think is it glaringly obvious now, those players you mentioned, that size, that power, looking back on the 3 games, was sorely missed. Tino, Gilbert, Flegler.
Yeah, I obviously you miss players like that calibre.
Just 3 starting players there.
100% right.
And
Tino and Flegs are like the alpha males of the forward pack too as well. As you said, Fatty always said you needed ginger in there somewhere, but they're and Tino's he'll stand there and confrontational. He loves it and that's that's life. We've got to learn how to deal with that. And I reckon the best thing and our start was that much better than it was in game 2. But you're right though, because that first I was up on the southern side of the ground, and I was there with a few old fogs and that as well, and the game seemed to be a lot more up the northern end of that first half. You know what I mean? So it was noticeable for us.
Yeah. I remember the first ball carry. I like to watch the early decisions, what a player does, where he goes, and the first time Payne Haas got the ball, he would have knocked a brick wall over.
But actually, they did a pretty good job on him last night.
Throughout the course of the game. Yeah. But the first carry, I thought, we're in for a long night at the office here.
He was half quick play the balls, and he got his nose through and
did extremely well, and
then that makes it easier for Mitch Moses and Jerome Jai and Dylan Edwards, etc. So that is such the. I mean, the game hasn't changed, has it?
No, it certainly hasn't, mate. You're right there, and I used to say that whenever we used to play well, the Queensland backs, it was all because of the work that our forwards did to be able to. Provide prime space for you to work in, and if you've got forwards that are just hitting it up and making about 4 or 5 metres at a time, you're not going to get a roll on. They did last night. It was almost like a semi-trailer that just kept flowing openly and did so remarkably. I thought our guys did really well. One thing that did impress me was the marker defence that they came up with. They did quite well to stop or slow down a lot of the intended attack from the Blues. But certainly, it's not an insult to say that we were out muscled. It was just a more powerful group that got over the top. Our guys came back. They fought back well and had a real go, had a real dig. But it was just a classic Origin encounter.
Yeah, good game, wasn't it? Really. I mean, obviously we want to win, but I mean, I love as Wal said, the confrontation. The collisions were fantastic. Obviously, was it Angus Crichton? I think got HIA early as well. Yeah. So I think it was a much better effort by our blokes. They'll be disappointed, no doubt about that. But it was a good game overall. But you just mentioned before the size thing, and that was noticeable when Spencer Lanu come on as well. Like
and Isaiah,
and
2 big bodies.
We'll see. I mean, I would start with Yo all the time, but obviously they won anyway. But the big thing is, those blokes have got good. Like he plays 80 minutes every week. Yo as well too, so he's got the minutes in him, and he's a big, and he's bigger than people realise. You know what I mean?
He's a big boy, and I thought his injection into the game when he came on was very well done by the coach. He brought him on. He knew that they'd got themselves into a good, strong position. Now it was time to deny any opportunities that may be coming Queensland's way when they were getting into attacking positions, and they really handled us quite well in that defence. But to see the way that they came on and really had one priority in mind, and that was to deny Queensland attacking space.
He got a bit of flack too for dropping Tedesco, didn't he? You know what I mean? And the captain. And Dylan Edwards.
He was the match.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely. And looked like he has been there all his life. Yeah. It was extraordinary.
He does so well to catch that ball in the full every time.
Dylan Edwards,
just watching him last night and just looking at the stats there, like we had 141 kick return meters to their 306, and just noticed that last night he gets so deep that it gives himself an opportunity to come onto it at pace and bring that ball back as fast as he can. And our boys are trying their best with the king game to find the grass, but it just shows what kind of player he is.
Wal was right, Moses. he was on the money
Yeah.
with his kicks all the
he
time.
was good.
You know what I mean?
And he's not a big man, Dylan Edwards. either.
No.
He plays
you're
above
right,
his
mate.
weight. Mind you, most of the blokes out there at Origin level play above their weight. But I found it interesting too. Once again, Jake Trbojevic didn't get many minutes for New South Wales. I suppose it doesn't really matter because they've won those last two games. But the way Michael Maguire used his forward pack, and I suppose when you've got those players like Isaiah Yeo coming off the bench and Spencer Leniu and so on, and even Connor Watson is surprised for me the way he has just stepped up. And you know, you got to give credit to Michael Maguire and that side for coming back after 1-0 down. But what it also once again reinforced for me, there is no greater spectacle in Australian sport than an Origin match at Suncorp Stadium, and particularly decider. I mean, there is something special about it. I know it's a little bit flat having lost game number 3, but the game delivered. Again. Yeah. And it's remarkable how often it does.
And it'll do it every time.
Yeah.
I mean, Wally's played in the first game, obviously, and that's how old he is. But
Mate, come on. He's had a big
Well, you went
day
far
yesterday,
beyond.
long
You
night.
went far beyond him, Gilly.
But
We lost.
But who would have thought, though, honestly, that, you know, when Arthur ran out up there, you know, against Tommy Rodonigas, who would have thought that the game couldn't get any bigger?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Honestly, you were there, the first one, and I just, because I remember like in the 80s and that, when I come in and in the 90s as well, that you think, oh, geez, it's never going to get bigger than this. But it continues to get bigger and better, and there's just the people support it and they love it, which is fantastic.
And the first 40 minutes, that was something else last night. I just keep thinking about it over and over and over, and you wonder which side has been caused the most damage, mentally and physically, and how they're going to get back into it and how they're going to start the second half. And it was done extremely well. I thought both teams needed to be commended for the way that they held very solid during the most difficult times in that first half. It was a wonderful game. It'll be remembered for a long, long time.
2-0. I was thinking. I was having flashbacks to '95. Actually,
Wayne Bartram,
Bardo. That was Bardo. I love him to death, and Forrest Gump we call him because he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, Bardo. But he's no. I love him to death. He's a great bloke, and I remember. And they do it all the time now. Take the 2, but in those days you didn't really do it. So, and I remember we got a penalty. Actually, we got a penalty early. And he missed the first one, but I remember I got another one in front, and I thought, I might just take the 2 to give these young blokes, all these debutants we had, you know. And I thought, give it a little bit of confidence, you know. And I got the ball, and I looked at Bardo, and I said, "What do you reckon?" And he went, "What?" And I said, "Kick." He said, "For goal." I won't say what I actually said. I said, "That'd be handy. That'd be handy, Bardo." And I remember he's lining up and he's taking a bit longer than he normally did.
Yeah.
You know, I said, "Bardo, I don't give a shit if you miss it.
Yeah.
As long as you kick it dead, we get the ball back."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh yeah, okay, Gilly, no
Good
dramas."
idea.
Anyway.
Good idea.
He was a pretty nervous bloke. Bardo.
Yeah. But he slotted it, you know, and you had him at the coast, didn't you? Yeah. And he slotted it, and after the game, he's going, "Gilly, I won us the game. I said, "We've got 2 to go." He went, "Oh shit, I forgot about that." Yeah,
Well, the only player in Origin history to have scored every point in a match.
That's gutsy from, well, not gutsy, but the New South Wales to take that 2 from the sideline, and you know, Zachy Lomax kicked that goal. That's a big moment right there. I think you know.
Well, it leads me to the question about the decision to take the 2 for the high tackle on Harry Grant. Queensland, as we discussed earlier, hadn't been able to get down there into the field too often. They had an opportunity. I know hindsight's 20/20 vision, but Wally and Gilly in particular, you've captained at Origin level. What were your thoughts immediately when the whistle was blown? Take the 2 or take the tap? I mean, Alfie wouldn't have given you the chance.
No, you would have been off. What have you done?
Yeah, I would have looked to have a look at the expressions on the opposition.
The
on
body
their face,
language.
the body language.
Yeah.
You know, whether the shoulders are hanging a little bit, whether they're turned around and they're screaming at each other to get in line. That helped make the decision for you, with the knowledge that they're ready, they're on the line, or there's a couple of lazy blokes, a couple of guys almost putting their hand up for a rest. So
let's keep it going.
Yeah, I didn't have that, but I don't think I would have done anything that was different.
Yeah, I probably would have been the same.
Particularly in the second half when it's 2-2.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you would not blame Daly Cherry Evans for thinking this could be the winning.
Yeah.
As you're talking, in that instance.
And it's how it happens too, mate. You think, if we've been on the run for 4 or 5 minutes, we seem to be more in control of where than what they are. Also, if we're playing the game at the end of the field where they can't afford to make a mistake, you just try and add everything up and make the most of it. If you feel that you've got a little bit of an advantage and they're sort of on the bones of their arse a little bit, try to stay in it. Although they'll be able to do it, it doesn't guarantee that they're going to be doing it in the future, in the next set of 6 or the 6 after that. And you try and just read the faces, read it on them. 100%.
And Gillo, I mean, that's where you want to be in the last 20 minutes of an Origin match, is in front, isn't it? Leading rather than
correct.
trying to...
And then, Queensland, the way that the style of footy that we play is that grinding and complete our sets, kick long, and we're confident. We did that a lot last night, but again, you want to be in front with those coming to the closing dying moments in an Origin match and just keep fronting up, because that little 2 points that you're in front, that's enough for you to hang on and do absolutely everything you can for your mates and your state to keep showing up.
Well, that'd be a long time since we'd be held scoreless, wouldn't it? Like no tries.
Tries. Well, I was going to make the point too that, and I know Origin's different to the season where you're talking about potentially playing next year or how we change things for next week or whatever. Yeah. But in the last 2 games, 4 halves of football, Queensland didn't score a try in 3 of those 4 halves, which is very Queensland-like when you consider the players that were out there on the field too. The firepower and held pointless in the first half in Melbourne, and then tryless in this game at Suncorp Stadium, which I found. I
still love the old-fashioned games, and most of my mates ring me and said they hate the 48-32 games, and I'm 100% right with that, and because the 6 to go rule and that, as well, it's got out of control a little bit. But anyway, that a lot of the I think the rugby league hierarchy think they need to see heaps of try scores. Yeah. And to me, that's not right.
The highlights.
To me, that's not right. I want to see good, solid defence. The teams can be gritty and hold their line for 5 sets of 6 or something like that. And I just go, mate, well done.
And the opposition to play football to score a try rather than the defence being out on their feet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. I love seeing that.
I think it goes a bit deeper than, through to your juniors now, Gil, coming out of schools, and they're all getting pats on the back for what sort of plays they can do. Coming out of school, how good their attacking play, they're getting on the highlight reel, their social media and all that sort of stuff. And when it comes to that nitty gritty stuff, that really matters, which is your defence. That's what you need in big games, and to be a good teammate, you need to be able to defend.
I used to say when I was coaching the juniors too as well. I mean, mate, I don't care if
I've heard some bad stories of what you used to do.
You score 4 tries a game, but if you let 5 in, you're no good to anyone. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you're right, Gillo. It starts from the junior base and make sure we get those skills right.
Well, how would you like to be the owner of one of these? A Fogs Authentic Game Ball signed by Wally Lewis at the 2023 Wally Lewis medalist Reuben Cotter. Now, all you have to do is subscribe, like, and drop a comment below. And each week, gentlemen, we'll be giving away one of these footballs to one of the viewers of the Fogs Queenslander podcast. Well done.
Well, it's good to be able to hand them on to the general public who like it, as long as we don't get blamed for breaking one of Mum's windows when they're kicking it around the backyard or tossing it around.
But this will be framed in a nice
Reuben Cotter's name. Wow.
Do you know how to subscribe and like and do all that, Gilly? No?
We can help you, mate. We can help you.
Help me out, fellas.
The 2 daughters can help you out.
So we have one of these to give away each week until stocks run out, until Wally gets sick and tired of signing them and Reuben Cotter disappears. But just subscribe to our channel, Fogs Queenslander Podcast. Write a comment below and click that like button. Everyone goes into the draw, and we've got one of these to give away each week. Well, let's have a look at some of the stats, because it was eerily similar in some respect to Game 2. I suppose the most glaring one of those is the fact that once again New South Wales dominated possession, nearly 60% of the football, 57 I think it was to 43 in favour of New South Wales. And when you have, there it is, 56 to 44, when you have that much footy at any level, but particularly at Origin level, it does put you in front. And And Queensland pretty much on the back foot again, playing most of the game in their own half.
Look at that, 100 more tackles too as well. That's a lot.
Yep.
That's a lot of extra
Just
tackles.
emptying the tank a bit.
Exactly. Yeah. That's unbelievable.
And 4 line breaks to 2, which is a small number in the modern game.
Yeah.
And 2 of those line breaks for New South Wales led to tries.
Yep.
The 2 line breaks for Queensland. And one of those, ironically, that Tom Dearden break where he looked around for support and there was no one there.
That's a moment that we should have,
Sealed.
had some points there. Wasn't to be, but, New South Wales capitalise on their line breaks, and it goes to show that the end result. Missed tackles is 47 to their 40, so... And errors, New South Wales had 13 errors to our 7, but...
When you have more ball, you tend to make more errors.
Yeah.
So it's, it's a hard one. We had our opportunities there to put some points on and just couldn't get it right.
Sorry, Gilly?
No, I was just about to say, that surprised me a bit, possession, 56-44. I thought it was a bit more closer. I mean, and that's not a huge amount, but I mean, still... because we wouldn't have won the possession in the 3 games, I don't reckon. The first game we might have because of...
they only had 12.
Yeah, exactly right, yeah. But I mean, the nitty-gritty and the stats, to me, it gives you a bit of an idea.
Well, let's talk about some of the players as well. Although Tommy Dearden, once again last night, was terrific for Queensland.
It was wonderful last night. I really thought that he was being targeted quite clearly by the big boys in the blue jerseys, but he was fantastic, and he managed to be able to produce some things that he admitted he was a bit disappointed with in game 2. It was a wonderful opportunity. 121 metres from his carts with the ball. 1 missed tackle in a game of that importance. That is fantastic, and we've got to admit that that they were running at him continuously throughout the course of the match. But it was when he sort of went to do a little bit of searching. When he was carrying the ball at times when the guys the forwards were shot, they were gone, they were buggered, they had nothing left in the tank, and he went and he came up with a few half breaks, and I thought he was super impressive last night, and I really admired his performance.
Yeah,
I loved our forwards, but I mean because they obviously had a lot more grunt than the game 2, but I kind of. I think the Harry Grant, Ben Hunt thing. That I still think that works fairly well for us. I mean,
is there a right way though?
I don't
who
know.
starts and who comes off the bench?
Well, I know Mel when the Aussie team when we the World Cup a couple of years ago, he bounced him around a bit. As well. So I don't think it worries him.
No.
Who starts.
And I know what you're saying, Mark, and I agree with you to it. I mean, a lot of the times it really does appear as though they'll say, we'll let you on for the first 20 minutes, and that's when we'll bring it on around about then. And I think you're probably better advised in situations like that. You make the most of the moment, and you put them on when need be. If they're looking like they're super tired, if they've been defending 4 or 5 sets of 6 in a row, that's when you inject one of the fresh players like Harry to come in. So it wasn't easy last night, and I could understand that Billy was probably thinking, for a little while, do I stick to the original plan, or do I just try and make a decision on the problems that have appeared in the last few minutes? So it's a difficult one, and that's where the brilliance of the coaches.
I reckon they'd love both to play 80 minutes. There's no doubt about that. And they'd be lying if they said no.
Sometimes players are suited to specific roles, aren't they?
Yeah.
They prefer to either start or be on the bench.
Well,
and
they both played 80 minutes for their club.
In that respect. Pat Carrigan was terrific last night.
Enormous, mate. He set the tone there with his defence, which is what you want to focus on in Origin and any game, and he really set the tone there. But his work rate and put his hand up, as we can see there, 54 tackles from a middle forward, and just to still show up and want to carry that ball and be that first person and put his hand up is quite outstanding. No line breaks from the big fella, which is
the only forward that carry it over 100 metres.
No line breaks. You mentioned it, but I reckon he had about 5 or 6 half line breaks.
Yeah, that's right.
Where he got through, and it was only that he didn't have any support play to hand off to.
Yeah.
Oh, mateys. I think they're. We were probably like the New South Wales back three. 3 back forwards. probably got outplayed our blokes this series. You know, actually considering though, they did a good job on Liam Martin, Angus Crichton. This game just got considering, mate. They were colossus. They were unbelievable for New South Wales in game 2, weren't they? You know, what I mean, and they terrorised our backs. So they did a good job on them.
In an ideal world, you don't want, do you not, to see Pat Carrigan with 150, 160 metres, 54 tackles. You'd rather have him 30 tackles and 100 metres and other forwards,
sharing it around.
Sharing it around a bit. And I think that's where we go back again to the players that were missing, you know, the fact that Carrigan dominated those stats for Queensland last night. You'd rather see Cotter had 96, I think, metres, Reuben Cotter, etc. But he was the only one over the 100 metres. And in a perfect world, you want your forward sharing the load, don't you?
Yeah, and I think they did it very well last night. New South Wales, they targeted our smaller men. Did it extremely well. Did it on the edge of the ruck and did it straight down the middle, targeting our number 9. And it was a performance from New South Wales. I don't think I've seen too many that have been as good or as impressive as that one. They were fantastic. They really were good, and it was a pain in the backside to sit there and watch them be in control. They did it pretty well.
How many tackles did our back 3 do? I'm not real sure, but there was quite a few. You know what I mean? So it was a. Yeah, as well said, it was a quality game, no doubt about it. And I thought for the first half, I'm thinking, Jesus, this is an old-fashioned bash-up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Really, wasn't it? It was not back to the 80s kind of thing. I'm thinking, how good's this game? You know what I mean? So, and it continued in the second half. So, you got to say, tip your hat to New South Wales. You know what I mean?
And it's a long time to wait for Origin 1 for next year, and there's a lot of water under the bridge. But what do you reckon Billy Slater will have learnt this year compared to 2 winning series? The fact that he's now lost a series as a coach. How do you reckon he'll improve from that? Sometimes you learn a lot more from your losses, don't you, from your wins? Do you reckon he'll come back bigger and better, learn a lot this year?
I think he'll stay solid to what he believes and what he's instilled in that team. Obviously, it comes down to depth and picking your side and things like that. But like you said, you do learn some stuff off your losses and to be better and how to prepare better. And there might be things that he looks at back through the preparation on all 3 games in the camp and how things were run logistically and improve on those areas too, because it all does matter when you're preparing for an Origin game. But I think Billy's, he's pretty detailed in what he does and what he looks for and what he expects out of his players, and it'll just be about revisit that and look to be better again. But I think he'll stay true to what he believes in.
Well, he's so meticulous with when he was a player, honestly, and nothing's changed as a coach as well. So, I mean, used to see him, what he'd done, his extras and stuff, and he would have been, and there was a little bit of sniping. They plucked a little bit of stuff out of their backside, New South Wales, about having a Cobbo or whatever. Yeah. He'll learn who to trust now in the media and who not to trust, and you just got to smooth that knife over that way.
Some backstabbing going on.
Yeah. So,
short memories. Wonderful things.
Don't worry, that he won't forget those things as well.
Well, even though it's disappointing to wrap up an Origin series with a Queensland loss, it was once again another terrific series. New South Wales getting up 2-1, 14-4 in the final game. Don't forget to subscribe and like to our channel. And we've got some wonderful interviews with Fogs coming up. We've already got about a dozen of those up on our YouTube channel, so keep an eye out for those. Enjoy the rest of the season, and we'll all be back to hopefully preview 2025, the Origin series. But on behalf of Wally Lewis, Trevor Gilmeister and Matt Gillett, I'm Mark Braybrook. It's goodbye for now. Thanks for watching this episode of the Fogs Queenslander podcast. If there's a Fog you want to hear from, leave a comment to let us know. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos.